The whole world is going through shadow work. And I'm going to tell you where I'm going to go into this, type of thinking, because this is just my way of thinking about certain things. And you may resonate with it. And when you do, you'll see why when I go into it. But when you look at, for example, like I've mentioned this in a lot of videos already, where everything that I see outside of me is a blueprint to what's going on within me. All this is an illusion, okay? If it is an illusion, all right, and I'm creating my reality, and I'm seeing things as symbolically certain things happening, even though I see certain physical things and we compartmentalize them as into meanings with this human language, everything is still symbolic. Like when I look at certain people, okay, people are symbols to me. Like when I see a black person and a white person, there's a black person that's symbolic to me, and then there's a white person that is symbolic to me, and how these people can interact in their environment and what the benefits are to their particular shade of color in their environment. So for example, when we look at the black people, you know what I'm saying, they need to be out in the sun a lot longer than the white person. It's not that they could be out in the sun longer, because they technically could. The white person may burn in the sun a lot faster than the black person because of the light being able to be absorbed by the black person. However, because of this, they are actually they have to actually stay in the sun a lot longer, because they don't properly produce the right amount of D3 that the white person does. And the D3 is, I'll make another video on that, as to how important this hormone production on the skin really is. It's actually extremely important. It is actually a steroid hormone, all right? And this works in conjunction with your adrenals, which is another steroid producing gland and whatnot. So, I'll go into that in another video. And see, here's the thing though. I've mentioned this in melanin and the law of attraction video I made, where basically it comes down to black people being more children of the sun, and the white people being more children of the moon. You know what I'm saying? See, a lot of people do, let's say, like black magic. Black magic is done more or less like you would think black magic, and you think nighttime. You know what I'm saying? The witching hour, like 3 a.m. and whatnot. And then you do light work, and you basically think of this more through the daytime. You know what I'm saying? Like light work, you think of daytime. This is not what it is. I said this is what most people think. You know what I'm saying? And the only reason I say this is because I've asked a few people, what is the first thing you think of when you think of light work? And they think of, like, angels and angel work. And angels are angles of light. You know what I'm saying? Now, when you look at, for example, black people, see, black people should be, because here's the thing though, when I say symbolically what each one means, and this is just my opinion, the darkness is where everything comes out of, which means, like, you see how they always talk about in history, this was all theirs, and then the white man took it over and, basically hijacked it and started building over it, and hiding their history and whatnot. See, the black man is the blueprint to where you can actually, because the darker, the lighter, the light you can create. You know what I'm saying? So when you have the darkness, out of darkness comes light. Okay, so the black people are the blueprint. They are and the word blueprint, I mean, something so black that it looks blue. You know what I'm saying? And that's basically something where you can see with Superman or Wonder Woman, when their hair is so jet black, sometimes they add streaks of blue to it, and that's just basically a representation of how black something is. So they call it a blueprint. So the black people being the blueprint, okay? Notice how they should be more of focused on doing the light work of things, right? Because they're supposed to be out in the light a lot more, okay? Because we start to look at it, even where we start to look at it, light work and then shadow work, all right? Now, the white people are supposed to be more in the dark side of things, which is more of like the black magic side of things, left-hand path side of things, only to balance things out. You get what I'm saying? So when you start to look at it, I start to look at black people. Black people are basically looked at as the minority, right? But they are really the gods, because of the fact that all this is coming from them. right? And then you look at the white people are looked at as the elites, yet they're utilizing their reality is molded around the blueprint of the gods. And these are all symbolic representations of these things. So let's say, for example, the more of a victim mode the black man puts themselves under, the more it empowers the white people's position as the elites. You get what I'm saying? And it ain't about going to war with them. It's just knowing your position to know what you're supposed to be doing. Okay? Because if you really want to break down this reality, that's just basically unbalancing the force over here, which is basically creating this reality of polarities. But the more that the black people put themselves in victim modes, all right, and the more the elites are able to act upon that, because it is basically how you respond and react is how they're going to respond and react to you. You get what I'm saying? So knowing your power, first and foremost, is very, very important, because you're going to know exactly how you can emotionally put yourself in a favorable position for yourself. Now, how do you know that black people ain't supposed to evolve into white people, becoming the light version of this body that we're in? You know what I'm saying? Because look at when we have shadow work, things are basically in the dark. They are basically hidden in a closet. But when things start to surface, you start to shed light on it. And when you shed light on it, right? Look at what happens when a white man goes out in the sun. He doesn't have to be in the sun too long to produce the right amount of vitamin D3. You know what I'm saying? The black man has to stay in the sun a hell of a lot longer. So it has to be required to do a lot more light work symbolically. The white man just needs to be in the sun a little bit, but start to embark more on the left-hand path side of things. Okay? Now, when we start to look at, for example, the left-hand side of things, this is basically going toward the glitz and glamour of, you know, let's say the power aspect of it, because there is a lot of power in there for that reason, because it is basically where everything is coming from. But once you utilize that power properly on the left-hand path, which is what the white man is currently doing, the people, the small amount of people that are operating this is why they have so much power, because they're utilizing that left-hand path in a proper way. But in turn, the way it works is that they can actually manipulate the situation into having you think that that's not favorable for you, so you stay away from that power. It's basically, there's a piece of steak here, but there's only enough for us and not enough for everybody. You know what I'm saying? But in a sense where it's basically enough for everybody, it would just imbalance the force, in my opinion. You know how you bring balance to the force? You got the Jedis, the black, and then, I mean, the light, and then you got the Sith on the left-hand path, the black. But then you got something called the gray Jedis, and there's a lot of people in between, like gray Jedis and whatnot. So, and you also have different color shades, you know what I'm saying? Which, when you look at Star Wars, you look at different planets, you start to look at different colors, you know what I'm saying? Like the yellows and, you know, the reds, the redskins and whatnot. You start to see a lot of these things through the different characters that you'll see in different planets and whatnot. But these are just ideas, you know, that I'm putting out. They're not fact. So I don't want anybody to get emotional, or, you know, because here's the thing though. Well, I don't know why you would be so emotional or prideful about your color or about what you are, because you're not even these things. You know what I'm saying? And the more proud you feel about certain things that have to do with this physicality, then you are polarizing yourself into this physical, and you are closing your mind into the opening your mind into the divine space of looking at things. Okay? Which is basically the all. Like, it's pretty, and it doesn't make sense to me how you could be so prideful. See, these are the people that probably would have to compensate for insecurities, and, you know, they're lacking something for them to have to put so much, you know, pride and emphasis into their color, their muscles, their, you know. And I was there at one point. That's why I could say this shit. You think that I'm just talking by, and I've experienced this. Because I was very fucking vain about my body. Very vain. So now it's just, like, if I work out to stay in shape and to stay strong. But I also know that I'm creating certain acids. You got to know when to put some, you see, we talk about alkaline. You see, the acids aren't supposed to be coming from fucking bullshit ass garbage food you put in your system. They're supposed to be coming down to exercising. Because when you exercise, you bring things out, right? But you can also make your body stronger. You see, you got the nitrogen side of things, and these are building blocks where we use the protein in our system to actually build, but we create these acids. You got to know how to neutralize these acids. So I know when to put acids. If I'm feeling sore and inflamed or tired, I'm not going to go work out again, because instead of building, I'm actually breaking my shit. I'm breaking my body down. You know what I'm saying? And I'm actually stressing it out in an unfavorable way, because there's stress that you put to the muscle where the muscles grow. But there's also the certain type of stress that's unfavorable. Like the stress of like bills or relationships and things like this that create unfavorable chemicals in the body. But the stress that you put your body under, then you learn the art of recovery. You build and make your body stronger by putting in the right proper fuels, where the calories and carbs are coming from like fruits such as dates, bananas. You know what I'm saying? Bananas. Why do you think bodybuilders put bananas in their protein shakes? Bananas are a very powerful building food. They're the right sugars and the right calories and carbs in them, along with dates and prunes and all this type of stuff. Cleansing foods are more the water foods that are coming in from like watermelons, grapes, cantaloupes. You get what I'm saying? So you control the catabolic and anabolic phase of things, right? So when we talk about building and destroying certain things here, you have to break down the veil, okay? But then you have to know what you're building in your reality as well. You know what I'm saying? You're here experiencing this reality through this vessel, but there is no other way to do the great work that we would want to call, you know, the shadow aspects of ourself that we've collected through generations of certain karmas that we have, cause and effect, certain things that we have hidden in the abyss. You have to understand, when you want to find certain aspects of yourself, you don't go into the abyss thinking you're separate from the abyss, because then when you start to see things in the abyss, you start to get scared. And the thing about the abyss is that you become the abyss. And when you become the abyss, then you will start to have things surface. Now, the way things will surface is basically with a clear intent on what you're doing and why you're doing it. They may pop up in dreams. You know what I'm saying? And these symbols and meanings will pop up in dreams to show you something. And this is basically where you start to surface what's hidden in the closet. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to go into shadow work, particularly how to do it and all that in this video. I'll do that in another video. Or at least how I do it, and, you know, how what a little bit of fasting and, you know, mental clarity and all that has to do with it. Because it's basically coming down to, you know, you go and do an ayahuasca retreat trip. You don't notice the first thing they tell you is to, like, you know, fast and not have sex or anything like that. And it's basically just to clear your mentalities. And your mentalities, I'm not talking about it up here. It's mentalities are all over your body. You have different brains in your body. And the clearer your mentalities are, the clearer the filters are, the clearer your experience. Okay? Because you won't be carrying baggage that you've accumulated along the way. You know, into this altered state of consciousness. You ain't bringing that with you. You're basically going in there a lot purer than, you know, before you did these fasts or before you did these things. You know what I'm saying? So it is pretty important to know how to do some type of breath work. And the reason why is because when you do breath work, you know, oxygen, you basically oxidize a lot of toxins within you. You oxygenate blood cells. You know what I'm saying? You're able to flush out toxins like cancerous cells out of the body, either through urine, poop, or sweat. Either way. All right? And then you put in the proper higher vibrational foods in there, and you're creating a balance. If you're an acidic body and you're a toxified body and you go and indulge into something, you know, that we would consider negative energy, then you may not have a favorable experience. Okay? If you're not balanced in your emotions either, if you are not balanced in knowing how to utilize or conquer your fears, you know what I'm saying? You don't feel so empowered. You're in victim mode. Things like this, you shouldn't be doing that. You need to work on yourself first. So when I talk about, for example, the light and shade and darkness of things, all these words like literally mean the same thing. You know what I'm saying? We do light work. You look at light people, and you know they reflect light off when the sun hits them. You got black people. Black people absorb light, but then when you put them in dark, you can't see anything. You know what I'm saying? But you can see a white man in the dark because they kind of reflect a little bit of a light out of them. So you kind of see them a lot clearer in a real dark space if there's a little bit of light than you would a black man, unless he smiles and you can see his teeth. You know what I'm saying? So like these little things are, they look like symbols to me. You know what I'm saying? They look like symbols to me. And this, again, this is my way of thinking. So don't go on feeling emotional or prideful or anything like that, because this is just my way of thinking. And I feel like the more separation people create between themselves, it's just basically a worldwide shadow work. I mean, that people are actually shadow aspects of themselves that they're experiencing. You know what I'm saying? When you look at the white man and they tend to, you know, go to war with each other for, you know, ignorant reasons, then you'll start to see that these are just people reflecting their shadow aspects of themselves. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, if you can work through these things, you would know that the white man is a piece of the puzzle the black man needs, and the black man is a piece of the puzzle the white man needs. And if we wanted to really wake up from this whole shit and we integrated that, polarities wouldn't exist. You see, this matrix can only exist on duality. Polarization, war. When you see people going to war with each other, this is basically all of them literally portraying their shadow aspects of themselves. And when you don't understand the shadow aspects of yourself, is you're not understanding the left-hand path side of energies. Like when you look at these energies that we want to work with, you notice that they have different characteristics and traits. These energies, these deities that you want to work with on the left-hand path, they have personalities and certain traits and characteristics. And when you start to learn about them, and you start to see which one of those characteristics and traits are more dominant in you, then you'll know that you are more or less just close or related more to that deity. You know what I'm saying? And when you can learn to work with these energies, then and this is without judgment, because you see they're fallen angels. They're more in the dark because they've been put there because of religion and all that, categorizing them as evil. And, you know, the word evil and stuff like that means completely something different than what people actually believe. Like the word evil is literally living inverted, living backwards. You know what I'm saying? You live this life thinking that this is all it is, and you're not paying attention to the inside of yourself. That's basically, like I said, this whole thing is you pushed inside out. So if you're living backwards, that's you living evil. Because live backwards is evil. You know what I'm saying? So when you start to see like, and the reason I even say this is this, like why everything here, we're all one and we're all related to some extent. Like I'm talking about even black people and white people. Because if you look at, for example, Lucifer and Jesus, okay? Lucifer and Jesus are one and the same deity. And I'll link a video in the description that explains that so that I don't have to explain it here. And at least you'll get it from the source of where I even got this from. You know what I'm saying? And not to say anything's fact, it's just basically what resonates with you and what doesn't resonate with you. You know what I'm saying? You look at the sun, and then you look at Saturn. And then you look at the word Saturn, like Saturn sets Satan. We look at Saturn as Satan set, sunset. You know what I'm saying? And then the sunrise, then you have high noon, which is basically the most high, which is at 12 o'clock in the middle of the sky, 12 noon. And then you look at the totality of 12 is 3. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not going to go into that completely here. You know what I'm saying? I'll just link the 2 videos in the description. Very interesting videos. And then you can kind of see. I might link a 3rd one in there that kind of correlates as to how everything was basically created out of Jesus Christ too anyway. And Jesus Christ is basically you become Christ in this reality. That's basically what it is. And Christ consciousness is just a consciousness. Consciousness is awareness, and awareness is basically the light that you can put on things. You know what I'm saying? So when you're here in this reality, you are trying to become Christ. But Christ went through the shadow aspects of himself before he became Christ. You know what I'm saying? Up the 33rd vertebrae of your spine. So it starts from the root chakra, and then you climb your way up, and that's the ascension. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hey, look, I'll put the video in the description so you can see what I'm talking about. Because why would I explain it when you could just look at it from the video I found it in? But you'll start to see why I came out with this video and started to talk about. And by the way, I made this video because somebody asked me a question on shadow work also. So it was, you know, inspired by that person that left me a question. So, you know, shout out to you. But if you really want to know how to start even with the shadow work part, which I said I was going to do it in another video, but I kind of done with it, so I'll just tie this little thing in here. I mean, the way I start is basically purifying my space, purifying my body and mentalities. The mentalities are basically connected to your gut, so there is really no separation. When you physically can fast from the internet, okay, and this is basically where I would consider you disconnecting from the internet, because it would be disconnecting from the internet, which you're eating anyway, because when you listen to information, you're eating information. Just like when you eat food, you should know that your body is utilizing the food as information. You know what I'm saying? It's taking information from the food. So if it's something's good for a certain part of your body, like I eat a carrot, it's good for my eyes, I gotta process it, you know, take the information from it, you know, the life force, and if it's pulled out of the ground, you know, fresh, and then with a little bit of dirt, the probiotic, all this works in symbiosis here, all this works in harmony with each other. But it's good for your eyes once your body processes it. If your body cannot process that carrot because you have malabsorption, then it ain't good for your eyes. You know what I'm saying? It was just an idea. So it's about how you process the information. So I don't even know where I was going with that. I kind of lost my train of thought, but whatever. And oh yeah, so you purify your body, you purify your space. This is what I was going to talk about. And then what you can do is you have an intent to what it is. You ask yourself questions, because ask and you shall receive. You're not asking something outside of you something, you're asking yourself something. And the way that it will come up will be through either realizations, hunches, or inspirations. But when you're in a calm state, let's say you're in a dark room, you're disconnected from your internal environment because you can't see anything, and you are disconnected from anything, so your 5 senses or extrasensory perception senses are open, and you can receive things by hunches, inspirations, ideas. And then if it doesn't happen then and there, then you already know that time is an illusion. Time is basically a succession of now moments. You know what I'm saying? So in your now moment in the future, which is still now anyway, doesn't exist, but the fact that there was a cause, there's going to be an effect. So if you ask yourself a question, it's going to be answered in your now moment. And in your now moment, if you're present in that now moment that it happens, you're able to see that it may be answered through a video, which shout out to the internet. All right, it may be answered through a song that may pop out somewhere. Somebody may be talking. You may hear a conversation that may answer the question that you asked yourself. And these are basically all versions and aspects of you. Everything that you're experiencing, versions and aspects of you that's answering and responding to you, because you are the God source. You are the source of all this happening, because none of this shit, including the sun, would exist unless you open your eyes and you animate this reality and collapse the sun into existence. Otherwise, there is no sun. So you are the sun, because you're the one lighting up this planet with that tool that's nothing but a reflection of you. You get what I'm saying? So I know I went all over it with this video, shadow work, but I'm sure there was a lot of good points that can tie into a lot of the stuff that you that you know, anybody may question over here. This is my mentality, my way of thinking. So you know, welcome to my world. You know what I'm saying? That's how people say welcome to my world, because you see, everybody's gonna talk about their experience and their perception of how they see the world on camera. You know what I'm saying? So you have to just understand that whatever you're listening to, use discernment and intuition, okay? But also be yourself when you're done. Don't be that individual you heard the information from. You know what I'm saying? Utilize the tools and information. It's like food. You absorb the nutrients and you poop out the waste. So like, share, and subscribe, and we'll talk soon.